The sun was shining brightly on the Saturday afternoon when Jordan walked into the crowded community center. Today was the annual neighborhood meet and greet, a time when everyone could catch up and meet new neighbors. As Jordan stepped through the doors, he felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. He could see groups chatting and laughing, but they all seemed to know each other well. Jordan looked at the crowd and felt a wave of unease wash over him. He stood at the entrance, unsure of where to go or who to talk to. It felt like everyone was part of an inside joke that he just didn't understand. As he stood there, he could feel the eyes of others glancing his way. Each stare made his heart beat faster. He told himself that no one really looked at him, yet the pressure felt heavy. In a room filled with smiles, Jordan felt isolated. The noise of laughter and conversation surrounded him, but he felt alone, as if there were a thick wall between him and the groups that were chatting. This feeling was not new to him. Many times, Jordan found social situations to be difficult. He often struggled to make small talk or connect with others. Admittedly, the thought of starting a conversation felt overwhelming, full of fear. Would they think he was strange? What would he say? During moments like this, the pressure seemed to grow. In social settings, Jordan felt the burning need to fit in. He could feel the tension rising as he imagined what others thought of him. Would they see him as a newcomer or just someone who did not belong? That pressure made it even harder to approach anyone. He thought about how easy it was for others to laugh and talk, but every small movement felt like a big challenge for him. Social pressure can twist our thoughts and drown our confidence. It is a shared feeling for many people, and Jordan was definitely one of them. Feeling this way is common for so many. Almost everyone has been in a crowd where they did not know anyone. Parties, work events, or even small gatherings can be difficult. You look around, and it seems everyone is busy enjoying their time. Moments like these happen to young and old. The feelings of anxiety and fear of rejection are not foreign to many people. When you feel out of place, even simple things like saying hello can seem too hard. It is these kinds of moments that highlight a big reality about social skills. Being able to connect with others is something we all seek. Having friends and building good relationships matter to us all. Jordan understood this struggle well. He realized he needed to change. If he wanted to leave this room feeling less lonely, he had to take small steps to step outside his comfort zone. Those small moments of fear introduce larger and more significant changes. Acknowledging this uncomfortable situation is the first part of growth, and Jordan knew that had to start somewhere. Building social skills is a journey that can lead to better connections and a real sense of belonging. Today, he hopes to begin that journey. As Jordan stood at the entrance of the community center, his thoughts raced. His palms were sweaty, and his heart thumped loudly in his chest. He knew he should walk into the crowd and meet new people, but fear held him back. Jordan wanted to feel included. He saw a group of people standing together, laughing and enjoying themselves. This made him think about his past experiences. Maybe he could have a place in the conversation too. Yet part of him felt frozen. Even with many people around him, Jordan felt lonely. He recalled the last social event. It was a friend's birthday party. Everyone was talking and joking, but Jordan struggled to find the right words. At that party, he had tried to join a conversation about movies, but his voice was soft. No one heard him. After a short time, he felt more invisible than ever. He ended up sitting silently, eating cake alone in the corner. That moment had stayed with him. It made him doubt himself. Was he too shy? Did people think he was strange? Now, standing in front of this crowded scene, memories of that night floated in his mind. Jordan remembered seeing others chat easily and laughing together. At the time, he felt like an outsider, not really part of anything. It was these thoughts that made social events seem tough. He wished he could connect with people without feeling afraid. If only he could find a way to speak up and feel less anxious, blending in would be easy. As Jordan tried to shake off his nerves, he noticed a small table nearby. A few people were gathered around it, sharing stories and smiles. He took a deep breath. Perhaps he could just say hello and see what happened. That small action felt big, but it was also exciting. Jordan thought about how every large action begins with a small step. He remembered when he learned to swim. At first, he was scared, but after some practice, he was swimming with joy. Maybe joining a group could be like that. With a mix of hope and anxiety, Jordan stepped forward. Each step felt heavy, but he refused to let fear control his actions. His heart raced, but he stayed focused on his goal. If he wanted to grow, he had to face his fears. Jordan made his way to the small group, and for a moment he almost turned back. But he reminded himself that he deserved happiness and friendship just like everyone else. Just say something, he thought. Finally arriving at the table, he used his biggest smile. "Hi, mind if I join you?" The faces turned to him, and for an instant he froze. What if they laughed or ignored him? But he chose hope. A young woman with curly hair looked up and smiled back. "Of course, we would love that." Her warm reply shattered his doubt. In that moment, he felt a spark of connection, a glimmer of change. This was a small but significant step forward. Jordan realized that while he might struggle, each effort counted. He was ready for new experiences, willing to make small changes to grow as a person. Today could be different, and that thought filled his heart with promise. As Jordan stood at the table, he felt a quick rush of excitement when the woman smiled at him. But just as quickly, a wave of fear crept back in. What would he say next? He could sense the shimmering possibility of connection quickly turning into silence. As the conversation flowed around him, he felt out of place once more. The group was discussing their favorite movies, laughing over funny scenes together. Jordan wanted to jump in, but the words felt stuck in his throat. He struggled to add anything meaningful, feeling the weight of expectation pressing down. He had prepared for this moment in his mind. He had thought about what to say, practiced in the mirror, even rehearsed some jokes. But now, when it mattered most, his mind went blank. Every time he tried to speak, he hesitated. What if he said the wrong thing? What if they found him dull? This voice in his head was so loud, drowning out the gentle chatter of new friends around him. At one point, the conversation turned to a movie release that Jordan loved. His heart raced with the opportunity. Should he share his thoughts? He gathered his courage and spoke up. "I really liked it, especially the ending." The moment he finished speaking, an awkward silence settled over him. He watched as the group exchanged glances, unsure of how to respond. This silence felt heavy and uncomfortable, much like the time at his friend's party when no one listened. Jordan swallowed hard and tried to smile, but inside, he felt embarrassed. Needing to escape the spotlight, he glanced at his drink and sipped. It wasn't enough to hide his disappointment. The laughter resumed, but this time, it seemed louder and more lively than ever. Jordan watched as they chatted away as if he were invisible. Each laugh reminded him of his earlier fears. Maybe this wasn't where he belonged after all. Maybe connecting with others was too hard for him. Throughout the evening, Jordan felt the social pressure build. Each time he wanted to speak again, his thoughts surrounded him like a storm. He looked around and noticed that some individuals knew each other well. They moved easily within their groups, sharing stories and jokes without hesitation. Meanwhile, Jordan felt stuck. The distance he sensed from them made his heart grow heavy. In this struggle, the shame gnawed at him. He felt he was failing to meet expectations. As the night went on, Jordan moved to a quieter corner of the room. He wished he could fade away from everyone. The fear of being misunderstood and judged felt heavy. He watched others enjoying themselves, and the feeling of isolation wrapped around him again. Standing there, he thought about how hard it was to find friends. He imagined other events, space where he felt more welcomed or at ease. At that moment, Jordan felt lost. Despite the feelings of sadness, a small, determined part of him remained. It whispered about trying again, encouraging him to take more chances. It assured him that real friendships take time and effort. Jordan reminded himself that every challenge brought an opportunity. While he felt stuck now, he hoped tomorrow could be different. The journey had just begun, and with each step, he could find a way through this struggle. That little voice told him he could learn and grow. All he needed to do was find the courage to try again, step by small step. As the evening wore on, Jordan felt a deep sadness settle over him. After trying to connect with the group and failing, he moved to a quieter corner of the room. He watched people talk and laugh, feeling lonely once again. The buzz of voices faded into the background, and all he could hear was the beating of his heart. Every time he thought of joining in again, doubt crept back into his mind. It felt like a heavy weight on his shoulders. Just when Jordan thought he would stay alone for the rest of the night, he noticed an older man walking toward him. The man had a warm smile and bright energy about him. He was someone who seemed to be easy to talk to. "Hi there, I'm Nathan," the man said with a friendly tone. "You look like you could use someone to talk to." Jordan nodded, feeling a rush of relief. "I'm Jordan. I'm not sure how to fit in here." His admission came out softly, and he looked down, unable to meet Nathan's gaze. "You know, everyone feels a little out of place sometimes," Nathan said, speaking like he understood Jordan fully. "Even those who look confident have their struggles. It is completely normal to feel awkward in social situations." His words were reassuring, giving Jordan a moment of comfort. "But I tried to join in, and it just didn't work out," Jordan replied, feeling the frustration rise within him. "I don't know how to be like them." "Try not to think about being like anyone else," Nathan advised kindly. "The best connections come when you are true to yourself. Remember, you don't have to impress anyone, you just need to be open. People will appreciate you for being you." While sounding simple, this advice struck a chord deep inside Jordan. At that moment, Jordan began to reflect on his own actions. More often than not, he had placed pressure on himself to say the right thing or appear perfect in social situations. He realized he had been so focused on trying to impress others that he had lost sight of expressing himself. He took a breath and thought about what Nathan said. What if he just focused on being himself? "I think I understand," Jordan said, feeling a flicker of hope ignite inside him. "It's okay to just be me and not try to put on a show?" "Yes," Nathan replied warmly. "Each time you meet someone new, you learn something. Each conversation is a chance to grow. Take small steps. The more you expose yourself to these situations, the easier it will become." With these words, Jordan felt a shift inside him. The tension he had carried in his chest began to loosen. A realization washed over him. He did not have to be perfect. What mattered was authenticity, the courage to be open, and the willingness to learn from every situation. As Nathan continued to encourage him, Jordan's mind raced with possibilities. He could embrace his moments of awkwardness and turn them into opportunities to connect better. He decided that starting now, he would challenge himself. Every small step forward would build confidence. He could change. Jordan felt more determined, ready to face his fears and improve his social skills. It was no longer just about fitting in. It was about discovering who he was. With this commitment rising within him, he took his first deep breath. "Thank you, Nathan. I really want to try this," he said honestly. This moment felt like a turning point, a point of discovery that set him on the right path for change. After speaking with Nathan, Jordan felt a surge of determination. The encouragement from the friendly man made him see that he could indeed change his interactions with others. He took a moment to gather his thoughts. He would practice his new social skills right here, right now. Taking small steps would help him grow and build confidence. With a deep breath to calm his nerves, Jordan felt ready to try again. He looked around the community center. The people were still laughing and talking with one another. Over in the corner, he noticed a small group standing together, discussing a project they were working on. This felt like a good opportunity for him. He decided to approach them and see how it felt to join in. Before Jordan walked over, he reminded himself of Nathan's words. He wasn't trying to be someone he was not. He simply needed to be himself. He wanted to start with something easy, something he could handle. As he walked closer, he felt the familiar tension rise, but he pushed through. He told himself that small talk was just a way to ease into things. "Hi, I'm Jordan," he said as he approached with a friendly smile. The group turned to look at him. A woman with bright glasses smiled back and said, "Hi, Jordan. We are just planning the next community event." "It's exciting." "That does sound exciting," Jordan replied, trying to sound interested. He felt proud of himself for initiating the conversation. Instead of backing away, he took a step further in. "What kinds of activities will be at the event?" The group welcomed his question with openness. As they spoke, Jordan practiced active listening. He nodded and smiled as they shared their ideas. When one person described their plans for games, Jordan maintained eye contact and asked for more details. "Will there be a prize for the winners?" he asked, genuinely curious. As the conversation continued, Jordan felt the weight of his earlier struggles lift. He found it easier to share his own ideas and stories. When the discussion turned to past events, he could connect by talking about a fun race they held last year. "I joined that event. It was a great time. I almost fell during the fun run," he added, smiling and remembering the laughter from that day. To his surprise, they laughed and welcomed his input. Instead of feeling lost or out of place, Jordan felt a sense of belonging. The energy shifted around him, and he realized that it was okay to be open about past mistakes. Everyone talked about their experiences with joy. He could see their eyes shining as they shared stories. Slowly, Jordan realized he was no longer just a stranger. He became part of the group. Each small step in this conversation felt powerful. His heartbeat calmed, and what once seemed daunting began to feel lively and engaging. As they continued to talk, Jordan made sure to maintain eye contact and lean in, showing genuine interest. At that moment, he knew that this was just the beginning. Learning and growing in social skills would take time, but he was eager to keep trying. This experience was a milestone for him, proof that with small steps and courage, meaningful connections were possible. Walking away from that conversation, Jordan felt lighter. He understood now that the change he sought began with these simple, intentional actions. Social skills could blossom in time, and he was excited to take the next step forward into new conversations. After his encouraging conversation at the community center, Jordan began his journey of practicing the social skills he was learning. Each day brought new chances to connect with others and discover more about himself. At work, he approached small interactions with more confidence. When he saw his colleagues chatting during lunch, he decided to join in. "Hi, can I sit here?" he asked, smiling. The group welcomed him warmly. They were discussing weekend plans, and Jordan felt comfortable enough to share his own ideas. Slowly, he began to feel that joining conversations was becoming easier. The tension in his chest started to melt away each time he took that small leap forward. In meetings, Jordan worked on speaking up more often. He had valuable ideas to share but had always been hesitant before. With each meeting, he aimed to contribute at least one thought. On one bright afternoon, he brought up a suggestion that got a positive response from his team. Everyone listened, and Jordan felt proud of himself. The cheers and nods of approval from his colleagues made him feel included. He realized that he had something to offer, just like everyone else. Outside of work, Jordan sought new social experiences. He joined a local book club after hearing about it from his neighbor. Book discussions became a place where he could express himself more freely. As he listened to others share their thoughts, he found it easy to add his opinions. He enjoyed hearing different perspectives on stories, which made him feel closer to the group. He noticed that he didn't have to worry as much about saying the wrong thing. Instead, he could focus on the joy of sharing ideas and connecting with like-minded individuals. With these newfound experiences, Jordan began to reflect on his progress regularly. Every time he tried a new social skill, he could see how his relationships improved. He noticed that he felt more relaxed and at ease hanging out with friends and family. His flirting with even more discussions with strangers gradually led to brighter conversations everywhere he went. He took special note of those interactions that brought him joy, like asking someone at the coffee shop about their favorite drink. The reply he received opened up a little chat about the best flavors, which left both of them smiling. During quiet moments at home, Jordan would think about how far he had come since that day of feeling alone in the community center. Those earlier feelings of isolation had given way to a sense of belonging in many spaces. He could see that he had cultivated real connections. It made him realize that meaningful relationships were already developing around him. A feeling of hope washed over him. It was clear to him now that anyone could change just like he did. The power to grow and improve was within reach, waiting for those small actionable steps. Whether he was with coworkers, friends, or even strangers, he felt more authentic and confident. Each day brought new and exciting opportunities to connect, share, and learn. Jordan understood that this was just the beginning of his journey. He felt energized about his progress, ready to embrace more social situations with an open heart. The world was filled with potential for connection, and he couldn't wait to explore it further. He would keep practicing, understanding that every little interaction was a part of his growth story. With faith in himself, the future looked bright. As Jordan continued to practice his new social skills, he noticed a change in his confidence. However, there was still one area he'd struggled with: his toxic boss, Tom. Tom often yelled at his team and made negative comments to undermine them. Until now, Jordan had tried to avoid conflict with him. Every time Tom raised his voice, Jordan felt small and helpless. It was a familiar feeling that made him uneasy. But now, with his growing confidence, Jordan felt he might be ready to confront the situation. One morning, during a team meeting, Tom's temper flared again. He started to criticize Samantha's recent project in front of everyone. Samantha looked crushed. Jordan could see the hurt in her eyes as Tom's harsh words filled the room. In that moment, something inside Jordan clicked. He knew he had to stand up for her. "Excuse me, Tom," Jordan began, his voice steady but firm. "I think Samantha worked very hard on this project. She deserves respect and support." The words came out stronger than he expected. Everyone in the room went silent, staring at Jordan in shock. Tom glared at Jordan, surprised that he had spoken up. For a moment, the air felt thick with tension. It took a lot of courage for Jordan to say that, but he knew it was the right thing to do. "You can't just talk to her that way," Jordan continued, his heart racing. "We are all trying our best here." He felt the rush of bravery mixed with fear, but he stood his ground. Surprisingly, members of the team began to nod in agreement. "Yes, we all have contributed," Jake said from the back, his voice encouraging. "Tom, we need a better environment if we are going to work as a team." People began to speak up, voicing their own displeasure about the negative atmosphere. Jordan felt hope rise in him. Tom opened his mouth to respond but saw the strong stance of his team. He took a breath and glared at Jordan. After being quiet for a moment, he finally muttered, "Fine, but I expect better work moving forward." Jordan felt a knot in his stomach relax as he saw support from his coworkers. They all nodded at each other, showing a sense of unity against a toxic environment. In that crucial moment, he had made a shift in the workplace culture. The team began to work better together, finding power in their joint understanding. They were no longer afraid to speak up for what was right. After the meeting, several colleagues thanked Jordan for defending Samantha. His heart swelled with pride. It felt good to finally break from feeling powerless. This step was significant, and he realized that setting boundaries was necessary, not only for himself but for his team too. In the days that followed, the office culture started to change. Tom was quieter, and people felt safer sharing ideas without fear of ridicule. Team members were encouraged to support each other. Slowly, this positive environment fostered better communication and teamwork. Jordan felt empowered. Taking action against bullying was not always easy, but it had helped create a happier space. With each positive experience, he learned the importance of advocating for yourself and others. Jordan understood that boundaries were not walls but bridges to healthier relationships. This realization deepened his confidence further, fueling a fire within him to continue striving for change. The progression in Jordan made him realize that while challenges would arise, taking decisive actions was essential for his growth. He was excited for what lay ahead. As the weeks went by, Jordan began to feel more at home in his workplace. The change in atmosphere was refreshing. With support from his coworkers, he felt empowered to speak up and express himself. Despite this positive shift, Tom's presence was still felt, and there were days when he reverted back to his old behavior. However, Jordan remained hopeful and focused on maintaining the new support system they had built together. One afternoon, the team had been assigned an important project with a tight deadline. Everyone was feeling the pressure. Tom called for a meeting to discuss the tasks ahead. As they gathered in the conference room, Jordan noticed the apprehension on the faces of his colleagues. Anxiety crept into the air. Working together would be key to success during this stressful time. Jordan sat at the table, determined to contribute. He recalled times when he stood up for others. Now it was time to highlight his strengths and showcase his abilities too. When the meeting began, Jordan confidently shared ideas on how they could divide tasks based on each person's strengths. He suggested they collaborate and check in regularly. His voice was calm, firm, and clear. To his delight, his team responded positively. They nodded and added their ideas, building on what Jordan had shared. Even Tom seemed to soften, extending small praises when recognizing the energy in the room. The encouragement felt good. The teamwork blossomed and every person chipped in. It became clear that they were working toward a common goal. Towards the end of the meeting, Jordan offered an opportunity for feedback. "Let's meet again tomorrow to see how we're progressing. We can support each other and adjust as needed," he suggested. His proposal was met with eager agreement. This moment felt rewarding. Jordan could see the growth in himself and in his team. When the meeting was over, one of his colleagues, Mia, approached him with a smile. "I loved how you took charge today, Jordan. It's great to see you stepping up," she said sincerely. Her words filled him with joy, and he felt a warmth in knowing that others recognized his efforts. Later that day, as Jordan reflected on the meeting, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had not just contributed, he had taken initiative and led the group toward success. This was a small but meaningful win. The teamwork and respect among his colleagues made the workplace feel more inclusive. Jordan realized that he played a part in creating that supportive environment, which further motivated him to keep pushing forward. This moment solidified Jordan's growth in both social skills and personal strength. He saw how building confidence and speaking up could lead to positive changes, not just for him but for everyone around him. He thought about the next steps he could take to maintain this momentum. He would continue to check in with his team, reinforce positive communication, and celebrate small victories. As he moved through the rest of the day, Jordan knew he had found a supportive place at work. Changes are possible when you embrace who you are and take consistent action. If you're feeling hesitant, start with small but clear steps. Share your voice, support others, and be open to outcomes. You can change your environment. With each step, you will find your strength, just as Jordan did, building connections and creating a more positive space around you. Embrace the journey. Every action counts toward transformation. Resolution. As Jordan continued to grow, he felt a transformation in how he interacted with others. His days were now filled with confidence and a sense of belonging. His workplace was vibrant, and he felt empowered to contribute. He realized how far he had come from that initial moment of fear and isolation in the community center. Each day was an opportunity to connect deeper with the people around him. The team had successfully completed the important project they had worked on together. Celebrating this success brought everyone closer. His colleagues planned a small gathering to acknowledge their hard work. During this time, Jordan took a moment to reflect on his journey. He understood now that social skills were not just about speaking. They were about understanding, listening, and forming connections. At the gathering, Jordan moved freely among his coworkers, engaging in conversations that felt natural. He smiled and shared stories about the project and the fun moments they had experienced. There was a lightness in the air, and Jordan could feel the positive energy that surrounded him. For the first time, he could truly see the team functioning as one unit, all empowered by the collaboration they had created. At that moment, Jordan felt grateful. He realized that the changes he had made were not just beneficial for him, but also enriching for those around him. He saw his relationships improving, both at work and in his personal life. The laughter and respect among his friends and colleagues reminded him how important these connections were for thriving. Outside of work, his friendships had deepened too. Jordan regularly spent time with Mia and other friends from the book club. They shared laughs, shared stories, and encouraged each other. He felt comfortable being himself and noticed how easy it was to communicate openly. Conversations flowed, and even the silences felt meaningful. The friendships were no longer about trying to fit in. They were about genuine care and support. Through these experiences, Jordan understood that social skills open doors to valuable connections. He learned that being authentic allowed him to engage with others more fully, building trust and understanding. By valuing himself, he was able to express his thoughts, stand up for his beliefs, and support those around him. Feeling empowered, Jordan even considered fulfilling a dream. He started to mentor others at work who struggled with social interactions. He remembered his own challenges, and the thought of helping them brought him joy. By sharing his experiences, he hoped to inspire others to grow, just as he had. As he basked in this newfound strength and connection, Jordan knew he had come a long way. The hard work and courage had truly paid off. Change was not only possible, it was within everyone's reach. With each small step, he had discovered a world full of potential, kindness, and connection. In closing, Jordan felt grateful for this journey. He held onto the belief that anyone can change and strengthen their social skills. With dedication, effort, and a little bit of bravery, beautiful connections await everyone. Together, they can fill their lives with love and understanding. The future looked bright for Jordan, and he couldn't wait to share every moment of it with those around him. As time passed, Jordan continued to strengthen the relationships he had built. The sense of community at work energized him. They celebrated together again, this time honoring not just the project's success, but the positive changes within the team. Everyone shared kind words about how much they appreciated one another. Jordan felt proud and thankful, knowing each person played a part in creating this supportive environment. Even with all the progress he made, Jordan felt there was still more to explore. He was ready to embrace new challenges. One day, an exciting opportunity arose at work. A position opened up that involved leadership and training new employees. Jordan felt a spark of enthusiasm. He had often thought about taking on more responsibility, but self-doubt had held him back. Now, with the confidence he had built, he realized this was a chance to grow in ways he hadn't expected. After some thoughtful consideration, Jordan decided to apply for the position. He spent time polishing his application, reflecting on all he had learned. He showed examples of how he had improved communication within the team and how he could help new hires feel welcomed. He poured his heart into the effort, believing that his journey had prepared him for this moment. With renewed strength, he submitted his application. The response from his manager came a few days later. "You have been doing fantastic work, Jordan," she said during their meeting. "We believe you would be a great fit for the new role." Hearing those words filled him with joy and excitement. The thought of helping others, just as he had once needed help, ignited a fire within him. Jordan embraced his new position with open arms. He dedicated time to connect with new team members personally. He put into practice the lessons he had learned about communication and rapport. As he trained them, he shared stories of his own journey, reminding them that everyone has room to grow. He inspired his coworkers to be brave in their social interactions too. Seeing their progress brought him immense happiness. As the months went by in his new role, Jordan watched as his team flourished. He created a culture of respect and encouragement that formed strong bonds among coworkers. Together, they worked better and succeeded, creating a positive environment for everyone. Jordan felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known before. Thinking about the future, he envisioned a life filled with meaningful connections. He knew that whatever challenges came his way, he could handle them with the strength he had gained. Whether in navigating friendships, workplace dynamics, or facing personal struggles, Jordan felt well-equipped to approach them head-on. His journey inspired him to continue growing. Jordan started attending workshops on leadership and communication, constantly seeking ways to expand his skill set. He realized that embracing change is essential to living a full and exciting life. It is not always easy, but his experience showed him that progress is possible. With every small step he took, Jordan looked forward to a future filled with promise. The lessons he learned in social skills had not just changed his work life. They transformed how he interacted with the world. He knew that everyone has the power to change their lives. Each person can foster connection, build relationships, and create joy, just as he did. Jordan felt inspired every day to keep moving forward and to help others find their voices, knowing their journeys mattered too.